Well, it was finally like I finally felt a little more calm. Week 1, the offense wasn't good. They sort of won in a hocus pocus type way. Week 2 wasn't good. They lost. Week 3 wasn't good. They lost. And the first half, the calls were still angry, Waddle, at the halftime show.
I could hear the boos in my television.
Yeah, they booed several times in that first half.
I don't believe they converted a third down in the first half, did they?
It's crazy. And they were up 10-6, but no one really felt confident. You didn't feel confident about the run game. You didn't feel confident about the protection. The offense was not really good.
It was sputtering.
It was sputtering. And then you got the ball back quickly, and the offense started to go. And they scored on 3 drives in that second half?
Yeah, didn't they, if I'm not mistaken, didn't the Rams take the ball in the second half
and
jammed it down the field for a field goal? The one thing the Bears defense really did do was they stiffened in the red zone.
Yes, they've done a good job
of the game. But yeah, the second half it looked much more encouraging. That's kind of been, even with Caleb, he has been a better second half quarterback than first half quarterback. They've made some strides in the second half of, it feels like at most of the games, but yeah, it looked different in the second half, which was encouraging.
So like that to me is, yes, that to me is, you had to get this one. You could not go 1-3 if they didn't get this one after the week that they had about not holding the team accountable, not protecting, not running the football, DeAndre Swift struggles before yesterday's game. If you would have continued that, and with this Rams team that was very beatable, very banged up, and if you would have lost this game with the way the Vikings are playing, we know the Packers and the Lions are going to be very good. And then there are some surprising teams, including the Commanders. You're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
So to be 2-2 is sort of like a calming force here. And then now you've got Carolina staring yourself in the face. You should win this game. There are no like gimmies for the Bears at this point. But you should be able to beat this team and get above 500 later in the season than you have been in a long time, with another winnable game in London.
And in the process of beating the Carolina Panthers, take another step in offense where you actually look better, more comfortable, and more productive. So you can do both. You can win these games, but also instill some confidence in everybody, most importantly, the players, by being better offensively, incrementally better. Like, look, at the end of the day, they totaled 264 yards and 24 points. But they ran the ball 28 times for 131 yards at a 4.7 yard per clip. There were 0 turnovers, and the running game actually made sense visually, where it was a much more north-south rushing attack. They chose to go with DeAndre Swift. Many of us thought if they were going to implement more of a downhill running game, that they would go with Roschon Johnson, who did get some carries. But they decided that Swift's their guy. We're going to give him the ball, and we're going to get him involved maybe in this makeshift offensive running game approach. And he was a guy that we talked about quite a bit. The first 3 weeks, he had 114 total yards. He had 165 yesterday. So you take your cap off and you tip it to DeAndre Swift for having a day that was the most impressive part of the game, was DeAndre Swift's 165 combined yards.
That's what I feel the best about. Feel the best about DeAndre Swift's performance, and that he played more like the free agent that they were getting. It's one of the reasons why I thought he would have 1,500 yards from scrimmage this year. Like, he would be an asset, especially in the passing game. He wasn't going to rush for 100 yards every game. You know, you have more downhill runners than him, but you have a guy who can be really good in the pass game. And that happened at the end of the first half.
Yes.
And I think it opened things up a little bit more.
Yes. And look, you know, they're dedicated to him, right? Like they signed him. They're going to keep giving him the ball. This would have been another opportunity for them to kind of shift gears and give a couple of the other backs, especially Roschon Johnson, more run. They decided that we're going to get DeAndre Swift on track. And as long as you are going to do that, if DeAndre comes out and plays like this, which I thought he was more decisive, I thought, there was like no more. Remember when Tom Thayer talked to us last week about, you tell the back, this is your hole, don't stray from this hole, run through somebody, or try to squeeze past somebody in this designated hole. When you start to freestyle with this offensive line, nothing good's going to happen. It felt like a more disciplined attack and a more disciplined approach by DeAndre Swift as well. So more production. They still got a long way to go, but you see progress. You see progress in the young quarterback, 0 turnovers. So instead of trying to fit the ball in really tight spots, what you saw him do was take checkdowns, and that resulted in DeAndre Swift getting 7 catches. It just, incremental progress. You get the dub and you move forward. You try to build on it when the Carolina Panthers move in to town.
Yeah. So I think the best way I could describe my emotion is I'm a bit more calm.
Yeah.
I'm more calm today. 312-332-3776. How do you guys feel? Like, this was, at least they won. They did some good things. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I still don't feel great about the offensive line. I still don't feel great about the offensive coordinator. I still don't feel great that they're all on the same page as far as chemistry.